A very big good afternoon to everybody. On behalf of Sabrang India and Vote for Democracy, it gives me pleasure, though it's under tragic circumstances, that I'm just having this conversation with veteran journalist and former editor of The Telegraph, Mr. R. Rajagopal, resident of Kolkata for 3 decades. And I think most of Indians and all India is now aware of the complete, in one sense, the avoidable trauma that Mr. Rajagopal has been made to go through. What, like he himself says, 27 lakh voters in Bengal have had to go through, which is being out of the voters list because of a extremely untested and illogical category called logical discrepancies. So, because of the exclusion from the voters list in March this year, again because of the inability to track, which he'll talk to us about, what has been a tragic consequence and shows an extraordinary coordination between the Kolkata police and the MEA, is the delay in the renewal of the passport application. So we'll have this conversation with Mr. Rajagopal and what implications this has for democracy, for representation, and for vast numbers of Indians who are voiceless and who become just numbers. Yes, sir. Over to you. You've been talking to media, you've been talking to social media, you made your entire situation quite public, which we all thank you for, because otherwise we would not have known of the extraordinary coordination that is afoot between the Kolkata police and the MEA. But what are your first thoughts to us on this issue?
Yeah, but in hindsight, I think the thing that shocked me most obviously was my removal from SIR and the passport refusal to renew my passport. But in hindsight, what I see now is, see, the regional passport actually, a lot of people are refusing to believe it. Actually, they gave me in writing, in registered mail as well as an email in a printed thing. They sent me in writing that an adverse police verification report has been received. That is, they put number one, and there's only one reason. There's no, and it clearly says their voter list deleted from SIR. When the EC has repeatedly assured the Supreme Court that the SIR data will be used only for the purpose of inclusion or exclusion from the voter list, and the Supreme Court has said that any citizenship suspicion or anything arises, the name has to be sent to the Union Home Ministry, and the Home Ministry can only make the decision. But here, a city police force is not even, a city police force is taking a decision to refuse to deny me the police verification, and the passport office is officially citing it in their mail letter. Had they not sent such a letter, I'm sure very few people would have believed me when I said, even when several newspapers are reporting that it's an allegation that Rajagopal alleged that he has been denied because of SIR. It is not an allegation. They have given it
It's
in
a
writing.
fact. It is a
Yeah,
fact.
which means it shows the impunity with which some agencies are functioning.
Sir, I think it shows three or four things. It first shows an extraordinary level of Machiavellian coordination between the
Yeah.
Kolkata police, the MEA, and the Election Commission. It also shows a brazen violation of what they themselves are saying before the Supreme Court. That is, the Election Commission is saying before the Supreme Court. And it shows a complete weaponization of the SIR process itself. But this, I recall, I think it was on April 24th of 2026 when Justice Bakchi, who's one of the judges hearing the matter, actually said that, so what if people can't vote this time? They'll be able to vote next time, which means that this was supposed to be a good faith provision that adjudication will happen and people who have been unfairly or bureaucratically unfairly removed from the voters list will be put back. But here is an administration, and that to the MEA, Ministry for External Affairs, regional passport office, actually using this process to exclude already. And I think this could actually be the fate of many others. We of course know about your case. And I think, like you yourself have said somewhere, and many of us have said, Sabrang India has certainly said, that Samrat Chaudhary, for instance, the Chief Minister of Bihar,
Yes.
said this in January, February this year, before he was formally made Chief Minister and replaced Mr. Nitish Kumar, saying that 22 lakh people we are going to deprive of the welfare benefits. And where did that figure of 22 lakhs arrive from? Our study of the Bihar SIR deletion show it is the figure of deceased voters. And even within the SIR figures, there are so many discrepancies. So you have denial of passport rights, which is supposed to be a completely separate process. And now you're telling people that you'll be denied welfare benefits.
Yes, yes. Deliberate policy confusion has been created using a stated policy, and inside the court they are saying something, and outside it is being used, like you said, it is being weaponized to harass citizens. And so this has no end, really. Today it started off with welfare, which is far more dangerous and graver than passport thing, denying the poor and the marginalized the welfare benefit. Started with welfare benefits. In my case, it's passport. 2 days ago, I saw a newspaper report which says that one lady saying that her name was cut from the SIR. Then she gave birth to a child, and the child's birth certificate, the local authorities are denying, stating that your name has been deleted from SIR. So the scope and this thing, it's being widened and broadened day by day according to women fans. Right now, it looks like according to women fancy or officials, or by design, which so it's a very so it actually requires if the like this debate has been going for the last 3 days. The MEA has still, as far as I know, MEA has not issued any clarification. It takes them only 5 minutes to issue a one-line clarification saying no, SIR and SIR data and passport renewal or issuance have nothing to do with each other. But they have not done that. Calcutta police, they are speaking to media, but officially from the highest authority of the Calcutta police, there is no clarification has been issued. So if the executive keeps quiet like this, it is the judiciary's responsibility to step in and clear the air. Or when Parliament convenes, there should be enough debate about this. This is our only hope now. What else can we? Actually, it also shows how helpless people are. Like in my case, I am so more or less privileged because at least my voice, some of the avenues, some people will give me a platform. But what about the millions of people who doesn't have a voice to speak? And you can't go to a police station and keep asking them, show me the government memo, show me the government order. Once they may tolerate you, and twice. The third time, you know what happens in our power centers of power if the citizen persists.
So actually, I wanted to just make one observation before I come to two more questions. One is that around the weekend, 27, 28, you had gone public with your predicament, rightly so. But about 3 days before that, if you recall, in a very spurious yet mischievous way, on Passport Seva Divas, some unnamed source of the MEA, again, made a statement at the Passport Seva Divas celebration saying that the passport is not a citizenship document. It's no proof of citizenship. Now, this created huge outrage and debate on social media as well. And I remember that my organization at my website, Sabrang India, we did an analysis yesterday, legal analysis of the Bombay High Court 2013 judgment that they quoted in that justifying what they were saying after the backlash from the public. And they picked out this judgment that delivered specifically because it was in the case of two persons, one person whose passport had been taken back, matlab under the section of the Passport Act. So it was a particular case where a passport had been taken back by the authorities. And they've used this example to make an en masse application saying that it's not an application of citizen. That was a particular case where the judicial mind was applied to say that whether that passport was withheld by the passport authorities legitimately or not, and therefore the citizenship was cancelled. And trying to elaborate from that and saying, therefore, en masse denial of passport or denial of citizenship and passport is justified because of the Bombay High Court has said so. So this sort of deliberate confusion and half lies and half truths are carrying on. And I think not just the judiciary, but Parliament needs to step in. Particularly, I feel the opposition, and this is a question I have, because it's a question that has been bothering some of us since Bihar, SIR days. That Bihar, you had a staggering figure of 63 plus lakh people who had been disenfranchised because of the SIR process.
Yeah.
And the opposition had held a People's Yatra and all of that through Bihar. But many of us kept saying that unless district-wise you're able to, the opposition, political opposition, is willing to mobilize those people whose names have been unjustly deleted. And we see faces of those people, numbers of those people are mobilized by the political opposition this becomes just like a debate on social media, which is not as impactful. And I think I'm using this opportunity not to just criticize, but to constructively tell the opposition that unless you're able to mobilize on the question of exclusions in SIR, these number of massive exclusions are going to remain faceless, nameless individuals rather than real people, real Indians with rights that have been deprived. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, completely agree with you. But the thing is, opposition parties have a huge responsibility. But the primary responsibility to initiate this process, I think, lies with the media. These phases, because the media can bring them out far easier. They can do it. Then to bring them together, that the opposition can do. The first step has to be taken by the media. And I've been, especially with the mainstream media, I've been completely disappointed and disenchanted. That's the word they use, because other than doing an occasional story, I think now the India's mainstream media more or less forgotten about SIR. It doesn't exist for them. So that is the saddest part about it. So other than these three pillars we spoke about, there is this so-called fourth pillar, which is not at all. And this also shows why journalism is so important. In the absence of, if journalism doesn't do its journalists don't do their job, this is exactly where we end up. We always in pit we used to say that media is irrelevant, it doesn't count. But now it shows why media matters so much. By its omission, the media is actually showing its relevance.
Just to inform our viewers that Mr. Rajagopal, when he wrote this note publicly, he actually also opted out of the Prem Bhatia jury on grounds that the legacy media and some of the established media is not doing its job. But Mr. Rajagopal also said that there are independent portals like The Wire and many others, to which I will particularly in the SIR context add Reporters Collective, outstanding investigations at on this issue. And the fact that the more established newspapers have not, because electronic media and television, I think, has been completely corporatized. There's a corporate political angle to it, which means that you don't see any independent reportage on our television channels. But our newspapers, we still have some vestige of hope, a little bit, that they would actually do some grassroots level reporting on who the exclusions are. But that is hugely missing. And I think if that were to happen, then I think we'd be able to see who the numbers of people involved, the numbers of women involved, because a large number of women have been excluded because of this kind of name anomaly, the marital status, the levels of patriarchy in our society, etc. And of course, the communities that are targeted. Without question, we know that the Muslim community in Bengal has been singularly targeted, as the Wire analysis and the Sabar Institute analysis has shown, that whether it's Murshidabad or Malda or many of these districts, even North Parganas, you see large number, disproportionate number of Muslim voters being disenfranchised. So unless there is more transparency and rigor put into this, because all these other independent portals are functioning at great resource constraint. It is newspapers who have the beat level reporters, etc., but are somehow choosing not to do this work. I have a question, sir, one more. Yesterday, the Chief Minister of Kerala, Satish Manje, that's the state that your family hails from, actually put out a public letter where he wrote a letter to the Chief Minister, Mr. Adhikari of Bengal, about your case. And that was kind of widely welcomed as well. I have a particular technical point to make, because through Vote for Democracy and others, we've been looking at this entire ECI process. And of course, the 2003 SIR exclusion. You mentioned in the note that you put out that your father was the state secretary of the Gandhi Smarak Nidhi in Kerala. And I feel that the administration in Kerala and the Chief Minister of Kerala could be particularly helpful in locating your father's name on the voters list. Because if that were to be possible, 2003 or even beforehand, it could make your case very, very strong and irrefutable. Not that you need it otherwise, but just because you're fighting this document battle.
True, that is true. But what is I'm not sure because a lot of people help me in Kerala. They so far they have not been able to find my, which is quite mysterious. So I don't know whether when anything particular happens. So when I've asked my friends to check whether he had gone to court against when his name was because he was a committed now what we call social activist. So if his name had not figured in 2002, this I'm sure he would have gone to court or something. We are checking court documents also. So we are checking. The government is helping me. The Kerala government is helping as much as possible.
You mentioned in a response to the first question that we were discussing that you feel either it is deliberate policy confusion or it is a kind of by design. When you mean by design, what design do you think is behind these huge SR exclusions?
We have been always been suspecting that this government they want to either keep who they think are not with them. They have this us or them kind of. So whoever is not with them, we have always by their other steps we have been suspecting that they want to keep them either in a constant state of fear or constantly on their toes. Particular sections of the people, particular religion, particular dissidents. All so I think this is a mask. It's an industrial scale. The same mentality being reflected on an industrial scale to keep certain sections of. Now it's actually not certain section. Every section they want to keep them on their toes constantly. So we are worried about like in since last 2 or 3 months, every day almost all my waking hours are taken up by looking for data about my father, my mother about 1959. In 2026, I'm sitting in Calcutta and looking at data of Kerala 1959, whereas I should be bothered about my children's education, the jobs, climate change, pollution, about the air we breathe, unemployment, pricing. But I'm not bothered about any of the thing. I'm bothered about what happened in 1959 to my mother and father. See, I think this is exactly what they want everyone to be preoccupied with because we are faced with almost an existential crisis, identity crisis. So we are battling those issues while the issues that the government cannot address, they're festering on the other side without that. So that is what I meant by design.
So statelessness and civil death is what you think you're facing. And your
Yeah.
next hearing before the passport office is on July 17th, I think.
Yeah, but there has been a development last
Okay.
evening.
Right.
In the evening, one gentleman who introduced himself from the regional passport office, he called me and asked me to send an email to them saying whether a police re-verification can be done. So I've sent a mail last night, and so just before I spoke to you, I received an SMS saying police re-verification has been activated. But this is from the when official from the passport regional passport office. Police have not contacted me so far.
Anyway, we hope for the best, sir, in your case, because I think at least if one case, it doesn't matter one case or 10 cases, every case needs to fight this battle. But it also brings me to the question of the adjudicatory mechanisms. The Supreme Court was quite sure that, the kind of tribunals it set up with judicial officers, and the Election Commission very pompously assured them that we will make sure that the adjudication happens. But there's no time frame, there is no time limit, there is no end date given to when
and
this
nobody
process
knows what is happening there because unless you are called, you cannot go there also. That's so.
No, so that is because there is no transparency in the Election Commission data. We don't know. If you go to the Election Commission, they don't tell you how many tribunals have been set up, what is their function. In fact, everything should be updated in real time every day so that everybody can check. Like you do in examinations and you do in other emergency situations on election counting day. You should be treating the voter deletions with as much emergency situation because it's a question of democratic representation and democratic death, You're actually denying people. But the Election Commission website is silent. There is nothing on the administrative tribunals, and there's no real-time data on either the deletions or the functioning of the tribunals or any of this,
Yes, it's correct.
And I think the media, is, like you said, is also not asking these questions.
No, they lost interest in the thing.
Yeah. And now the SR has been launched in the other states. So whether it's Maharashtra,
Karnataka is today launched,
Andhra, Telangana, all the states that we are talking about, if a similarly unchecked process happens, then we have 2.79 crore voters, which have been disenfranchised in 14 states. You're likely to be looking at a huger number, a much bigger number. And I feel there's a tiredness setting in during the Bihar and Bengal SIR because of the work done by many of our independent media and citizens groups. There was a lot of debate around the SIR.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
of course, the Supreme Court was also compelled because of these interventions uh, to some measure correct what
yeah,
happened
yeah.
in Bihar.
Correct,
Now,
correct.
I think the Supreme Court reopens around the 8th or 9th of July. We are hoping that with the SI process being similarly launched everywhere else, however tiring it is, that the citizens groups will continue their judicial push and intervention in the Supreme Court.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's our hope. Yeah.
Finally, sir, I just wanted to, I don't know if you're aware, but next to you is the state of Assam. Now, we've been working in the state of Assam for the last 9 years. And Assam has faced this, what I call the Trishul of the citizenship crisis. NRC exclusion, 19 lakhs.
Yeah.
D-voter exclusions, 1,17,000. Now it's down to about 99,000.
Mm.
And declared foreigner notices.
Yeah.
Ad hoc, sent out without prior investigation.
Yeah.
And when Assam was facing this for the last, I think, decade and a half, from 2008 onwards at least, D-voter was even before that. The rest of India was not looking at Assam.
True. Correct. That is actually,
And
yeah.
I've always felt that what happens in the border states, Kashmir, Assam, Manipur, today, will eventually happen in the rest of India because the state learns from each other, the state appropriates these practices. And you know, Assam spent 1,700 crores of public money.
Yeah.
Matlab taxpayers' money on an NRC exercise in which all other welfare works came to an end. So nothing else was happening. No schools were being built, no roads were being built, no bridges were being built. Only NRC was happening for 9 years. So, I mean, is this what India is going to face very soon?
Yeah, it's a very valid question. What you said about Assam, it's quite frightening. And again, I'll come back to it's only because of the alternative like Sabarang and other Scroll has been doing very good work about the Northeast. So we come to know about this. Again, I'm saying unless the mainstream media gets into the thing, this all will remain like people will think oh these are isolated cases. That is what you said is very true.
On May 5th this year, the constitutional challenges to the CA 2019 and the NRC guidelines of 2003, there are about 28 petitions which were listed for hearing. And that's my last observation, that I feel that what the rest of India actually felt what Assam was going through in 2019, 2020, when the anti-CA, anti-NRC agitations were held across the country. And Shaheen Bagh took the lead. For the first time, I think that feeling that, we would be targeted and we are looking at impending mass statelessness was felt particularly by the religious minority, but also by secular citizens. And there were agitations across the country. When SIR began in the fashion that it began, completely unchecked, unlawful, untested, non-transparent, many of us, I certainly said it publicly many times, that this is nothing but CA, NRC in a guise being brought in, that though it's being brought in through the Election Commission because they could not manage it. So I think it's also important that the Supreme Court expedites hearing on the CA, NRC petitions as much as it gives an empathetic hearing to the SIR process. Because the two are linked. The two are linked.
Yeah. True. That's right.
Final comments, sir? I mean, I've spoken a little bit more than you sometimes, but I just feel that you
I'm saying, see, as you rightly said, see, my fear is my issue has already been reduced to that of an individual, and they may now, they may use terms like re-verification and all that. They will find something wrong with my papers. And then finally, eventually, just before the Parliament is convening on 21st, I think, so government wouldn't want this situation. So they will try to find some solution. But the point is not that. The point is we need a clear policy statement from the government, which I think is very unlikely because they had enough time, they haven't done it. Or the judiciary should intervene. Otherwise, this should become a big issue in Parliament, and then the government should be compelled to come out with a step. Otherwise, this is a futile thing. Just me getting a passport, or why getting a passport or not getting a passport, that is not. It's not that I'm with I have somewhere to go. I have to fly out somewhere or something. If I get a even if I don't get a passport, it's fine. But the thing is there has to be clarity. How can you keep so many people in, on toll without telling what you say something in the court, that you come out and some other agency does something else exactly opposite of what you said. That cannot be. That is what.
Last question. So late last night, persons whose name I don't want to put tried to suggest that the reason why you were targeted is because of your extraordinary inspirational headlines while you were in the Telegraph. And therefore that they actually made out a case against you because of the fact that you might be a critique of the majoritarianism that this government represents. Any comments?
Yeah, I also don't want to name that person, but till yesterday evening, I've been insisting that people. The first was one of the all people. Everybody who interviewed you was asking, "Was do you think that it's a vendetta against you?" So I said, "See, as a former journalist, we cannot speak without evidence. We need some evidence. Without evidence, and I don't think we'll ever get the evidence." But within a few hours in the evening, this person tweets it, and I think it speaks for itself. It is the biggest evidence. Whatever you won't be able to get another bigger proof than this. So that is it. So the government itself is making things clear.
Wish you all the best, sir, for this entire struggle, and thank you for making it public, and thank you also doing it with so much dignity. And we also hope that you will remain one of the most vocal voices on this question and try to egg the media profession and the political opposition on, because I don't think Indian democracy can afford silence on this issue. So
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much.